These videos are brought to you by His Vessel Academy. Check us out at hisvesselacademy.com. Welcome back to my channel. Recently I was asked to make a video based on law of sines, so I'm hoping to make sure that I don't miss any steps and that you can follow it very simply. We're going to start with a regular triangle. The law of sines is a ratio, so it can be used on any type of triangle. It doesn't have to be necessarily a right triangle. That is one of the nice features about it. But it is a ratio, so that means I can cross multiply and solve it. You just have to understand the ratio. So I have the angles and the opposite sides are a proportion to each other, to the angle of the other side and its opposite side, and this angle and its opposite side. So there is my ratio that I have. I have sine C over C equals sine B over B equals sine A over A. So all I need is one angle and one opposite side in order to use law of sines. So first of all, let's take a look at these four types of triangles. We're going to discuss different ways of solving them, but for right now, there's only two of them that actually work in this case. So in other words, for this one I can find the law of sines because all I have to do is take 180 and subtract these two angles, and I get that third angle. So hey, I got an angle and its opposite side. On this case, I have this angle right here and its opposite side, so I can find anything. These two here, this one right here, because it has an angle with the two sides that create the angle, what does that sound like? Hopefully that sounds like cosine. That will be used for the law of cosines. And if I have only sides and no angles, that is also the law of cosines. So we'll be discussing that another time in a different video called the law of cosines. Alright, so therefore it only goes on these two types of information. I do have to have an angle and its opposite side. With that information, let's take a look at how that works. So I have this angle right here, and I have this opposite side. So this is going to be, and you'll notice there's A, it's going to be the first ratio. So whatever the ratio is, so 80, sine 85, sorry, let's put the sign in front of it, over 15, that is going to be the ratio that solves for C, so for this side as well, we'll just call that Y. Or actually, you know what, let's just call it little c, which is exactly what it is. And I can find that as well. So I can not only find this side, but I can also find this side. For right now, we're just going to find B. So I'm going to go ahead and erase all of that so it doesn't get confusing. Okay, so for right now, we're just going to find X. So let's go ahead and set it up. We can see that X's opposite angle is 70, so sine 70 is what we would use, and the variable X. We can call it little b too, by the way, because it is little b, just so you know and you understand where this little b is coming from. So now all we have to do is cross multiply this and solve. So go ahead and try that, see how well your calculator skills are. And let's see if you get the same answer that I have. So I'm going to set it up really fast just in case. I would suggest you putting the variable and the number in the front because in your calculator, you'll notice that right after sine it has this. Make sure you end that parentheses or else you could end up getting a wrong answer. So I always put my numbers in front just in case, just to solve any computer issues. My computer can read this. It's not a big deal, especially if I don't plan on actually ending my parentheses. So here's the first thing I want to do is I want to set this up. I do want to divide both sides by sine of 85. Sine of 85. I do want to end my parentheses, especially if I want a correct answer. And you can, obviously, if you didn't get it right away, that would make sense why if you didn't end your parentheses, you will get the wrong answer. The other thing is if your mode is in radian. That's another issue that most students have, especially if you're in a geometry class or a trig class. You forget to set your mode to radian. Make sure if you're on the TI-84, you just hit the mode button right there by the second and scroll down to the second one and click degree. And make sure that is highlighted. Alright, so on to the next step. we basically have our ratio set up. We are now going to look at it a little bit careful. Like as I said, I wanted to make sure you put that 15 in front. You divide both sides by sine of 85, and therefore you get 14.15 approximately. Hopefully that's what you got. So now you might wonder, how are you going to solve the other side? Now that we have 14.15, I actually don't need it to solve for C. I can solve C without having to solve for B, because I already have my ratio of A. So if I'm looking for this one, I'm going to just do 180 minus 70 minus 85. Don't forget the easy math that you apparently might have if you forgot how to find C, which basically gives me this 25. Okay, so that's the only thing that it did. It just gave me those two sides. All right, so now I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to solve for C. See how well you do now. Pause the video. There it is right there. All I did was cross multiply. It's 15 times sine of 25, sine of 85 with C. I divide both sides by that, and I end up with this. Hopefully you got that and had no problem at all. So here is a different one. I want you to set up all three ratios without my help at all and see how well you do. Just set them up just like you do in the example up here, so that way you can kind of see, and then we'll separate them later. All right, there it is. Hopefully that's what you got. What I mean by separating them later is I would take this here and write it out and solve. And then I would take sine 125 over 35 equals sine 20 over y. You just need to realize that they all have a relationship with each other. So go ahead and solve for x and y. And hopefully remember that that's 125 only because 20 minus 180 minus, oh sorry, 180 minus 20 minus 35 is 125. All right, those are the two answers I got. If you didn't get them, as I said, check your mode. Check to make sure you are ending your parentheses here, especially this one right there is the most important one. This one's not as critical. It will still give you the correct answer even without that second parentheses, but this one would put it inside because you're telling your calculator 35 sine 35 times sine 125, and this is all in parentheses. Alright, well hopefully that helped you understand the material, and you'll subscribe to my channel for more of these, and let me know what other types of videos you might want. Have a good day! At His Vessel Academy, we offer live interactive classes as well as some self-paced courses. Visit hisvesselacademy.com for more information and register today.